The first mistake is just working in one plane of motion. There are three planes of motion for movement. We have the sagittal plane moving forward and back, the frontal plane side to side, and the transverse plane. A lot of people just work in that sagittal plane, so make sure you're working all three planes of motion. The second mistake is doing too many repetitions or only working the endurance phase. Remember, the core muscles are like every other muscle in the body. You need to make sure you're working different energy systems to make sure you're stressing power and strength, not just endurance. Doing too many spinal flexion exercises is the third mistake, because if you're just doing the spinal flexion exercises, not only are you stuck with just one plane of motion, but you're also going to be putting a lot of stress on the lumbar spine and disc. Doesn't mean you don't have to do any, or you can remove all spinal flexion, but we definitely want you to make sure you're doing more than just spinal flexion exercises. The fourth mistake when training your core is just doing isolation work. Remember, the core is part of the whole body. It likes to link the upper to the lower body, so being able to transfer energy through the whole body is really key and going to allow you to get more core activation. So make sure you use the whole body and don't just work the core in isolation. The last mistake, the fifth mistake when training your core, is actually a combination error. One is just working on the outside muscles, okay? The rectus abdominis, the six-pack muscle, is just one muscle that you need to work on. You need to make sure you're working the obliques, make sure you're working the transverse abdominis. All these muscles may not be the ones that are you're going to build nice, good-looking core muscles, but they help build a nice, strong core to help protect your back, as well as help out with sports performance. And this kind of goes together. Make sure you are doing specific exercises for whatever your goal is, okay? If you want six-pack muscles, you can work a little bit more rectus, but don't forget the other ones. However, if you're an athlete, make sure you're not just getting in the trap and following bodybuilders trying to look ripped. Make sure you're working exercises specific to the activities in your sport or activity.